Hello there, I'm Jason Brisbane, and welcome to the Sage Intacct Budgeting and Planning Product Tour. I work in product marketing for Sage Intacct. I'll be your host today as we take a closer look at one of Sage Intacct Budgeting and Planning's unique features, the Budget Wizard. I'll show you how to leverage the power of the Budget Wizard and save hours in creating your ideal budget structure. So what makes the Budget Wizard so powerful, and how can it save hours in creating your budget? Consider the process of budget setup. On the revenue side, you have multiple sales channels. You need to plan for each channel. On the expense side, you need to budget by location or department. Now, imagine the process of preparing a budget and plan for this using Excel. You copy and paste the budget structure for each channel, department, and location combination. Or you take last year's plan and add 12 columns. This manual process takes critical hours away from the finance department that should be spent on actionable analysis. These hours can double if formulas break, as additional time must be spent in troubleshooting the problem. Now, with the Budget Wizard and Sage Intacct Budgeting and Planning, we can create an ideal budget structure in seconds with drag and drop functionality. Budget structure is created automatically by any dimension, in this case by channel for revenue and by location and department for expense. As you can see in this quick example, the ideal budget structure is set within seconds without the worry of broken formulas. Don't take my word for it. Let's review a real-life example as to how Sage Intacct Budgeting and Planning can replace Excel and streamline the budgeting and planning process. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to take the role of financial analyst for a company called Specialty Products. Right now I'm looking at Sage Intacct Budgeting and Planning, and it's just an empty budget template. I could use this blank template to enter my budget line by line, but I have the power of the Budget Wizard. What you're about to see is how the Budget Wizard assists me in creating the ideal budget structure. Let's take a look. I'm viewing the Budget Wizard. As you can see, the wizard has many options to get my budget started, such as using a template or existing budget file. My company, Specialty Products, uses Sage Intacct as its core financial system, so the first thing I'm going to do from the wizard is make a connection to Sage Intacct data to seed the budget. I'll log in using my company ID, and from here, without any programming, I'm able to make a connection directly to Sage Intacct Financials so that I can leverage the account and dimension structures as well as prior year actuals to set up the budget. Now, I'm going to create a budget by entity, so I'll select single entity, SPC West. Now, I have actuals for the end of 2019, so for this example, I'm going to do a budget for 2020. Now I have the option to choose the desired dimensions that I would like to include in my budget, such as department, customer, and vendor. I'll have the option to import employee records from Sage Intacct's core financial system. I have the option to merge some of the accounts into less detailed budget lines so that I can have the budget look the way management desires. I'll now drag and drop the dimensions that I would like to set up my budget by. So for this example, I'll select departments for revenue, and I'll select vendors for operating expense. I'll then choose to populate my budget using my past actuals from Sage Intacct's core financial system. I have the option to select the fiscal year that I would like to use to populate my budget. Now for this example, we're going to use 2019 data given that we're building a budget for the year 2020. Now, I also have the option to select what type of fiscal year data that I would like to use to populate my budget, actuals or budget data. Now, for this example, we have a full year of data for 2019 actuals, so we're going to use that to populate our budget. But let's say, for example, if we began our annual planning in October, we could use the remaining budget for that fiscal year 2019 to begin our budget planning for 2020. Next, I have the option to adjust the 2019 data that was seeded into the budget by applying a % value to increase or decrease the budget line based on what I'm expecting for 2020. Note the flexibility in that we're able to adjust revenue and expense categories separately. Now for this example, we're going to apply a 3% increase in revenues and a 1% increase in operating expense for the year 2020. Our budget structure setup using the wizard is now complete. What you just saw is an example of how I was able to go into the budgeting and planning module, connect to the Sage Intacct instance, and actually see all the account, dimension structures, and prior year actuals, and then bring all that in to build the ideal budget structure that management desires. We're now set up and able to make decisions on accurate data while reducing our budgeting time by 85%.